In Europe, the debate rages on about nuclear energy. Exciting profiles on pioneering women during Women's History Month. And the first of a multi-part series that takes a look at civil rights activist, Vietnam veteran, and educator Ted Mangum. These are today's stories, and this is The Normal Show.
Buongiorno, sono Marco Micheli. Come rispettare gli impegni presi nella lotta contro il cambiamento climatico? Bisogna seguire l'esempio della Germania e rinunciare al nucleare oppure rilanciarlo? Questo sembra essere al momento il dilemma francese, ma soprattutto uno dei temi caldi per le elezioni presidenziali che si terranno il prossimo anno. Questo è The Normal Show.
A marzo, François Bayrou, l'alto commissario per la pianificazione, ha pubblicato una nota sul futuro del parco nucleare francese. Vi si afferma che l'elettricità prodotta in Francia dalle centrali nucleari è la condizione stessa per poter avere energie rinnovabili e che, data l'obsolescenza delle attuali centrali, saranno necessari nuovi reattori. Non c'è altra soluzione se non quella di ricominciare a emettere gas serra, ha detto Bayrou, che è anche leader di Modem, uno dei partiti che sostengono il presidente Macron. Le parole di Bayrou hanno sollevato molte discussioni, soprattutto all'interno della maggioranza. L'attuale governo si era posto come obiettivo la riduzione della produzione elettrica da nucleare al 50% entro il 2035. Ed è già in ritardo. La legge infatti sulla transizione energetica, approvata nel 2015 durante la presidenza del socialista François Hollande, prevedeva di ridurre la quota del nucleare nella produzione di elettricità al 50% entro il 2025. Emmanuel Macron si era impegnato a rispettare questo obiettivo durante la sua campagna elettorale, ma poi l'ha rinviato di 10 anni. Il calendario proposto dal suo governo prevede attualmente la chiusura di 14 reattori, ovvero il 20% del parco delle centrali nucleari francesi entro il 2035. La Francia sarà tuttavia in grado di evitare la costruzione di nuovi reattori durante questo periodo provvisorio? No, secondo François Bayrou. Forse, secondo il presidente Emmanuel Macron, che si appresta a nuove elezioni presidenziali il prossimo anno. Per il presidente, la decisione finale se costruire o meno nuovi reattori dovrà essere presa entro il 2023. In altre parole, la strategia della Francia sul programma nucleare non sarà decisa prima delle prossime elezioni e dovrebbe quindi essere inclusa nella campagna presidenziale. Dopo il disastro di Fukushima nel 2011, che ha spinto paesi come la Germania a definire un percorso di uscita dal nucleare, la fiducia dei francesi nell'atomo è calata, precipitando dal 52 al 34%. 10 anni dopo, la situazione è leggermente cambiata. Gli ultimi sondaggi indicano che il 43% degli intervistati sostiene il nucleare, contro il 30% convintamente contrario.
To read more about this and other reported stories from Marco Micheli, go to micheli.medium.com. You like what you see? Well, be sure to like and subscribe so you can always be kept abreast of everything that we've got going on here at The Normal Show. And be sure to join us at thenormalshow.tv.
Forse avete perso qualcuno degli episodi recenti, ma non vi preoccupate, li abbiamo raccolti in una versione più lunga. Questo è The Normal Show.
My name is Gizelle Muepo, and I'm the CEO and founder of Okapi Finance International. Okapi is a company, a fintech company that has the mission to bank the unbanked. So as you know, 80% of people in Africa and more than 95% of people in the DRC, the DR Congo, is financially excluded. So what we do, we are actually trying to accelerate financial inclusion in Africa and in the DRC by creating an ecosystem, a payment ecosystem.
Why is it so important now, more than ever, to make something like this a reality?
Yeah, it's very important now because what is the reality is that without financial inclusion, the people are kept in poverty. Many countries are focusing to increase the level of living of the people, but without addressing the issue of financial exclusion, it's almost not possible because unbanked people are vulnerable. Unbanked people cannot access the formal financial services like access to credit, which is a key of the development. You know, like the small business, the PME must be able to access credit to be able to develop their business. So the issue of unbanked people is not just focusing to the poor people, even the merchants, the business people in Africa are unbanked, and that is causing a lot of issue today to the society.
Where can people watching find out more about Okapi online?
Yeah, they can find about Okapi on the social media, Okapi Finance, or on the webpage okapifinance.com.
Je suis Claire Salin. C'est l'art appliqué qui réfléchit à l'habitat, aux objets dont nous nous entourons, nos meubles et les objets qui vont nous servir au quotidien. Et servir, ça peut avoir plusieurs sens. C'est à la fois la fonction qui est primordiale, mais aussi le sens que cela va apporter dans notre intérieur. Un petit peu l'imaginaire que ces objets vont véhiculer avec eux au-delà de leur fonction propre. Comme par exemple ces boîtes, qui sont des boîtes qui mêlent le bois et la céramique. Et là, en fait, il s'agit d'une collaboration avec une potière qui s'appelle Élise Poivet. Et c'était un vrai travail à quatre mains et surtout à quatre yeux, parce que l'idée était d'explorer un petit peu ces deux matières que sont la céramique et le bois, et de comprendre quels pouvaient en être les liens, les différences, et comment un dialogue pouvait s'instaurer entre le bois et la céramique. Donc là, il s'agit vraiment d'un travail d'une très grande liberté. Il n'y en a jamais deux pareils. À chaque fois, c'est un questionnement renouvelé sur ce dialogue qu'il peut y avoir entre les deux matières, et aussi entre Élise et moi en tant que deux personnes, deux créatrices. L'adresse du site, c'est clairesalin.fr.
Federica Vinci, co-president of Volt Italia. So Volt, it's the first real transnational and progressive political party. This means that it's present with the same name, the same values, the same program in every single country of the European Union. It's progressive, so we take strong stances on what regards climate change, migration, solidarity between every single state in our European Union. And the main difference between other political parties is that it's a people-powered movement, I think. Well, I think this is the main difference, for the simple fact that we are used to see political parties as entities that comes up or disappear together with elections. The main reason why political parties exist is because they need to have people elected into the parliament from the local level to the European level. We think that we need to reimagine the way in which politics is done, because politics so far is not working anymore. Our people feel far away from politics, especially if I think about my country, Italy. They associate to the term politicians a stealer, someone who steals, someone who just wanna grab power, someone who wanna grab a seat, while politics used to be the science of governing your own country, of making something good for your community. So if this is what politics should be, we believe that a political party's aim should mainly be the one of serving its own community. That's why we are a people-powered movement. We think that we need, as a political party, to bring about change inside the institution, so we make sure that people get elected. That's why we elected a member of the European Parliament from Germany, 7 members in the Netherlands, in the National Party, members in the regional and city council. But we also believe that our main aim needs to be change and concrete change. So we do concrete progressive activism on the ground, bringing people together and trying to make a concrete change.
I'm Elaine Ross Reed, and I was born in Darlington, South Carolina. Okay, that's the pearl of the PD, you know.
Why is it the pearl of the PD?
Simply because of the people. The you know how what they say about the pearl. You know, it's kind of rough. It comes out of the oysters. But that's the kind of town it is. We have people. People are kind of rough, you know, and they make their way with just what they have, and then we produce all these stars. You know, we've had performers, we have TV anchors, we have graduates from West Point, we have now presidents of colleges. How about that? So just from those a little town that had where we may have grown up on dirt streets that are now paved. That's why.
You've come up against quite a lot throughout the years, I imagine. When was the first time that you realized there was separate but equal here in Darlington? How old were you? Would you say you were?
To say to realize it, to actually realize, because it's such part of you growing up that it's not like it's not like for at least for me, it's something that you already know. Just because of the way that we were, the time, to kind of answer your question, the time when I felt like I needed to be a part of that to change it is when it is, because you just always know. You just grow up that way. I do know that when following the news, to just give an example, when they were taking down signs of colored and white and that kind of thing around, we were going to the doctors, a doctor here that was seeing everybody. So in the office, when we in the waiting room or such, me and my mother and my sister were there. I don't know. I wasn't the one. I was just with them. So when I go in to sit on what was formerly the white side. Everybody, and so they followed me. Nobody said anything, but it was very quiet. But my mom said after that, the next time you do things like that, you let somebody know. You know, you just don't and have us there figuring out
what to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's your reaction to hearing the word colored? What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear that?
Now?
Yeah.
You mean now? My reaction is that how far we've come. You know, because I definitely associate colored with being separate. You know, definitely barriers. You know, and particularly around here, like I'm saying, you grow up accepting that, and then when I got to where I was going to be a part of breaking that down, that's not acceptable anymore.
You were told you were poor, for example.
Yeah.
Someone had to tell you.
Yeah.
And the women, you wouldn't find any other girls doing the racing. And I imagine throughout your career, you've come against a number of closed doors where they would say, this is not for you. And you persisted regardless. Would you say you're stubborn?
I don't know whether the word stubborn it is, because so much of it I didn't have the instinct to think of not being able to do whatever it was. You understand?
Yeah.
I never had that, and I'm not sure how to define that. It's like my first thing at the TV. We'll tell you something about that. I was simply looking for a job. You understand? And so what was offered, I was ready to do. It didn't cross my mind that whether I could do it or not. I just said, yeah, I know I could do it. You know, they offered it to me. And it ended up being that here I am, a pioneer. I'm the first person to do this or that. So that's why I said it's not. And I know that there was plenty that was probably saying, that's not going to work. You don't have no background. I didn't have, I didn't go to college for that. My little degree is in business administration. Never, media, public, just media.
Be sure to subscribe on YouTube and on Spotify to get all of the latest from The Normal Show. Ted Mangum has been to hell and back. A horrific tour in Vietnam, marches for civil rights that on some occasions were violently put down by the National Guard, homelessness, and PTSD. It's a brutal story, but it is also one of perseverance and of survival.
Hi, is this Ted?
Yes.
Hello? Hi, is Ted? Oh, there we go. Ted Mangum.
There he is, the man.
How's it going?
All right, how you doing, man?
So these are your new digs, huh?
Yeah, well, I've been here for a while now, about 5 years. I was up in D.C. fighting with VA, so
Yeah.
I was homeless for about 3 years.
Uh-huh.
And then they put me in the PTSD clinic up in West Virginia for about 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
And sort of escaped from there because they said, well, if you can get a psychiatrist, outpatient psychiatrist, down near where you stay, we'll let you test that. So I came to Raleigh, and they found me this place. Sort of Obama's push to get homeless veterans off the street.
Yeah.
Because it was about 24% of the homeless people were Vietnam vets then. And he had a significant drive to do away with that, to put an impact or a dent in it.
Yeah.
And he did. I think he cut it to around 9%. And you know, when you've been out there, you just go where it's all I got is a bedroom, a kitchen. Well, I guess we can go
I'll follow you.
see the man cave. It is a man cave.
Oh, it's very nice though. It's very nice.
Yeah, better than homelessness, I tell you that. I was born in 1950, so that makes me 69 for those of you keeping count. But I was always intrigued because being born in the Jim Crow era of the South, they say your parents don't talk to you about sex and things, and they didn't then and they don't today. But they also, growing up in the South, in the 50s, they didn't talk to you about race. And so, you know, you saw white people and you saw yourself, but you didn't differentiate and didn't figure out they were anything but other people. And then as you went out to school and different places, you said, oh, wait a minute, why am I, and in my case, there was a white school right behind, not too far from where we lived in Garner, North Carolina. And it was the Garner Senior High, which meant the kids who was, they didn't have kindergarten back there, but first grade through 12th went to that school. But we couldn't go to that school. We had to be bused 8 or 9 miles down the road.
Even though you lived right next to that school.
We had to go to Garner Consolidated, which was their term, you know, Garner Consolidated Colored School at the time, and then they went to the Garner Consolidated School. So anyway, we had to be bused 8, 10 miles. So they didn't have busing. They had busing way back then, but it was for the purpose of segregating, not integrating. That's the fundamental difference. Well, here I come, got to catch the city bus. My mama, lunch cost 25 cents back then. So the bus cost 25 cents. So I had the option either catching the bus and not eating, or running all the way across town with these books, heavy books, and going to, I could eat, but then I had to figure out how I'm gonna get home. Couldn't participate in extracurricular activities because the bus stopped running a certain time of night, and if I wasn't all the way in that bus and back on the other side of town, I had to figure out a way I was going to get back. And oddly enough, one of my salvations for later being able to at least be on the wrestling team and some of the stuff I like to do was this sort of mentally challenged white janitor, a guy named Sammy Rideout. And Sammy would, he would say, Ted, you got a ride? And I said, no, man. He said, well, come on. And he had a Comet, a 1961 Comet he had beefed up. And he had a Confederate flag on the front of it. And I'm going, I can't go in the hood in this car. And then he had a horn that, when he rung it, it sung Dixie.
I knew you were going to say that.
He did.
I knew you were going to say that. It played the Dixie. It played the Dixie tune.
Played the Dixie tune, and we would come across that railroad track, Fayetteville Street crossing, and it seemed like it was set in on him. And I seriously don't think Sammy put it all together. Because he would blow that horn. I said, Sammy, don't blow the horn, man. Don't blow the horn. I got to get out over here. But anyway, that was one of the things that may be amusing today And I saw his obituary some about 2 or 3 years ago in the paper. I had to salute Sammy because he would give me a ride home.
History doesn't look back fondly on the Jim Crow segregation laws that marred the 1950s up until the 1970s. In this period, the view that blacks would have access to separate but equal education was flawed. And in 1954, the U.S. Supreme Court passed a landmark ruling in the case of Brown versus the Board of Education of Topeka, Kansas, that unanimously found segregated schools to be unconstitutional, and in violation of the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. But did that change matters immediately for Ted Mangum and other black students in the South? No. Busing segregation of black school children did not officially end until 1971, some 2 decades after Ted was born. In the meantime, some may argue that black segregated schools were afforded far less resources and funding than that received by their white counterparts. And young students like Ted were quickly exposed to the real and unpleasant realities of racism in the United States. Even the mentoring and meting out of lessons and/or punishment was handled in a segregated manner, as Ted would soon find out in school.
During my years at Enlow, not just first year, they had one black teacher. That was Mr. Herndon. He was in the biology department. And they had one black counselor, Miss Solomon, and she could counsel the 10th graders, which meant if you were 11th and 12th grade and you were about to graduate and you needed some counseling about what college to pick, what school to go to, you couldn't go to Miss Solomon because she only did 10th graders. And what would happen beyond Sammy, when the black students, the black boys anyway, got in trouble, like I would often run into, because I was there during the transition from the civil rights era into the black power era. But what they would do when you got in trouble, you would hear Gary Clark, who was the principal, then get on the intercom and he would go, Sammy, he would say, Andrew Cowan, all due respect, was a minister, and he was a black janitor over there. I think he was the head janitor over at Enlow. But he was a minister, had a church over here in Chavis Heights. And when I got in trouble, some of the other black boys got in trouble, you would hear Gary Clark get on the intercom and go, Andrew, would you report to the janitor's closet? And so everybody changing class, they see a black boy standing outside the janitor's closet. They knew you had got in trouble. They didn't know what you had done, but they knew, okay, Andrew got to talk to him. So the janitor's closet was just one little single walkway. He would open the door, and you had to go in one at a time. That's how tight it was. And it was full of that green stuff they used to throw on the floor to make it slick and waxy. And you would snort that stuff. It couldn't have been cocaine because you'd have been high all day, but it would usually just give you a headache. And so you go in there and you had to sit on one of those drums because they didn't have room for chairs and all. And he would sit there and he said, boy, what's wrong with you, boy? What did you do today? Don't you know how to behave yourself? And he would give you a lecture and then a couple of biblical sermons and stuff. And you go, okay, Andrew, okay, if you just let me go this time, I ain't gonna do it no more. I'm not gonna do it anymore.